Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the North Carolina Textbook Subcommittee on Digital Resource meeting for June 11th. This is Commissioner Linker, and if we can start by having Dr. Fair do roll call.
Okay. Commissioner William Cheshire. Commissioner Angela Flowers.
Commissioner Angela Flowers present.
Commissioner Hannah Jimenez.
Commissioner Jimenez present.
Commissioner Kathleen Linker.
Commissioner Kathleen Linker present.
And Commissioner Lindsay Sice.
Commissioner Lindsay Sice present.
Okay, so you have 4, so you have a quorum.
Okay, so the first order of business is to approve the minutes. So I'll give everyone a second to make sure you've had a chance to look at them. And then if someone wants to make a motion to approve the minutes, we'll entertain that.
Commissioner Sice, motion to approve the minutes.
So I have a motion to approve the minutes from Commissioner Sice. Can I have a second?
Commissioner Jimenez, I second.
And that's a second with Commissioner Jimenez. So Dr. Fair, if you'll go through and have us vote.
Commissioner Angela Flowers.
Commissioner Flowers, aye.
Commissioner Hannah Jimenez.
Commissioner Jimenez, aye.
Commissioner Kathleen Linker.
Commissioner Kathleen Linker, aye.
And Commissioner Lindsay Sice.
Commissioner Lindsay Sice, aye.
Okay, so everyone is in agreement.
So that will take us to the next order of business on the agenda. Give me 1 second while I go back and forth between browsers. To jump right into the course creation. We are going to start with probably the shorter of the two parts, and that's going to be the commissioner's course. We do have a feedback submitted from one of our commissioners on the peer review, and so I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Jimenez and Commissioner Sice, and we'll look at the suggestions or comments from the peer review.
All right, this is Commissioner Jimenez. Going over the peer review, it seems like for the most part, there weren't any major issues. There are 2 things that we are going to look into. I'm going to look into the PDF that she has a question about under essential information. She said that she would prefer it to open in a new window instead of it being downloadable. So I'm going to see if I can make that a possibility. I'm sure I can. I just probably did what was easiest or what I knew how to do at the time, but I'm going to make a mark to go back and work on that. And then her other question was about not being able to see anything in deliberations and reconsiderations, which I'm really going to have to test out because I know that I can see everything, and I know Commissioner Sice can see everything, Commissioner Linker can see everything. So it might just be like a view setting, or I'm not really sure, but definitely going to look into that. And then one of her other feedbacks was that she would appreciate videos whenever possible. So I'm going to go back and see if there are any ways that I can add videos to make it more accessible for everybody. But other than that, that is the majority of the feedback we received. Anything you'd like to add, Commissioner Sice?
No, I mean, I just was looking at the same things you were. We just need to check the evaluation week tab. She said she couldn't see anything. And then, like you said, deliberations, and Commissioner Jimenez and myself were just talking earlier, and like she said, we can both see everything. So I agree with Commissioner Jimenez. I think it's an issue on the evaluator side, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's some good feedback. So you two can work on tweaking that. And then when we come back next time, we may have another review, peer review. I know there's one person who said they're working on it and she just changed positions. And so she's trying to wrap up the year in one position before she starts the year as a principal in another position. So it possibly could get some other feedback before the week's over as well. And so if there's is there any other questions from Commissioner Flowers on that before we go to the next course?
Commissioner Flowers, I just read where she was concerned about something happening the week of July 4th.
I don't think she realized the timeline changes.
Yeah, Commissioner Jimenez, those dates were ones we put in way back before all of this kind of happened this year. So they're more like placeholders at this point, so that we know where to go back into and change dates and add dates and things like that. So I just don't think that was made clear for her during her peer review.
Yeah, I agree. Because I know I also have put placeholders that'll have to be changed as we get updated. And then and the other courses, we have more of assignments. I just made a date in like November, just so it would show up and populate. But I know like all of that's gonna have to go back and be adjusted. So if there's not any questions about the commissioner's course, let's turn and look at the advisor's course. There's been some content added. And so before we actually delve into it, I need to make a disclaimer. When we first make the course, I have it where you have to go from one slide to the next slide to the next slide in a specific order. And if you go into the student view, because I know how sometimes we jump on to kind of see what it looks like from the student view, since we're the course designers in the course, it won't let you pass the first assignment. So that's only in that first module. So once we have a chance to kind of look at it, if you want to go into the student view, let me know, and we need to probably unpublish that first module so then you can see the student view and all the modules that are after that, if that makes sense. So having said that, let me switch to that course. So if you're in the course, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. I added some stuff even last night. I've got one or two options for assignments that I was playing with, and it was just easier for me to go ahead and do them both ways and then just delete the one that we don't want. That I've added some additional content. I apologize for the loud birds, but I'm not too far from a bird nest, and it's obviously feeding time. It's my little wren, and so the mom's really noisy. She's trying to get me to leave. And the first one's pretty the same. The welcome. If you look in the first page, I added some things to talk about to kind of like show that they have to do mark as done to go through, because I'm not sure that that would be something that everyone would be experienced with. The only one I'm experienced with is because of my taking advantage of opportunities offered through NCAT, as I've been trying to teach myself the tips and ways to be more efficient with the Canvas course. And so I kind of borrowed what they have and changed it a little bit to make our needs, but just so that before they start, that they know that, that they need to read and view and participate in the course to earn. And I have it in italics because I know we need to discuss it, in order to earn your certificate of participation. When they finish the whole evaluation week, they get a certificate of participation, and then they submit that to their district for CEUs. And it's up to the district to accept that certificate of participation or not. That's a district decision. But this course ultimately being at some point taking the place of right now parts of the training, but hopefully eventually the training ahead of time. I mean, this is just things that they need to do before they can evaluate the material, and all of that is part of getting their credit or their certificate of participation for the whole process, if that makes sense. And then I just put a thing about, you know, the mark is done, that you click it and you go on to the next thing. I like how they included in one of the NCAP courses just a general statement for transparency purposes. That you are that the advisor will be a student in the course, and so like any other online platform, we the commission can monitor their activity, and we just want them to know up front that that they need to read the information, watch the videos completely, and participate like they would want a student in their class to do. And I think we probably need to put something in, maybe in the beginning, about maybe on the second part of this page, edit it to add how to do the submission, because I'm not sure if they haven't done a submission of an assignment as a student, they might not know how that works. So maybe a screen, I might need a screenshot, you know, what it looks like from a student view when they have to click the submission button up in the top and then type it in the text box. Any other ideas? You think that this is okay? Do we need to change it, add to it? I really think I need to add that submission part, because I'm really not sure everyone will understand how to do that, and we are asking them to submit several different things.
Commissioner Jimenez, I would definitely suggest adding some instructions about submissions, just because it is, you know, they have to do it multiple times. I wouldn't even say it needs to be like, maybe it could be like a resource or something that you do like right at the introduction, about like when you explain about the course and like what the purpose is. Maybe you can add it there. Maybe screen record a video of you doing it. I don't know, but yeah, I definitely agree that it needs to be added.
So I made a note to add some way of instruction to submit assignments, either as a resource or in the opening. I like the idea of a video or a screencastify. That may be easier than just doing a screenshot of what the page looks like. So then that gets us to the goals. Now I will say this. I played with it last night a little bit more, and I was a little tired with it. I finally went into the student view, and so I was making some things that I need to change as a student view. And some of the images that I put up initially are, when you're in the student view, they take up the whole page. They're large. But then we were having a problem with being able to see everything from the student view, and so I changed some of it, and I feel like maybe the persons were embedded. So now I just uploaded within the page, or within the assignment, the PNG that I downloaded for the slides. But as a student view, it doesn't take up the whole page. It's a small picture that you really can't read, and in the course you can't expand it, you can't make it larger. Even like I have a Mac and I can't like make the window larger to read it. And so that is one of the little things I have down that I need to go back and change to make it look like the ones that do take the entire page, so that it is easily viewed. And I might need help from either Commissioner Jimenez or Commissioner Slice. I know you've got a lot more experience at the with your positions and doing things like that. I just need to take the time to go back and look at probably what I did to begin with that made it larger. I know not to embed it. I know that. That's what we did. What I did that didn't work. And so you'll see, I don't remember if this was there before, but there's a goals, and there's 3 goals for the course, and the order of the goals is kind of the flow for the course. And then the second thing, there's 2 of the same thing. You'll see It says NCDPI media release form, and then the other one's meeting release form 2. And so this is kind of what I wanted some input on. So there's 2 ways. There's at least 5 things that advisors have to do that's in this course. Now there's 2 other things they have to do that we haven't added yet. They have to provide permission for the media release. If they don't, then they can't do the next part of their picture, of submitting their picture. They'd have to just type without the picture. And then there are 3 things that they are required to view and say that they viewed as part of their checklist in the advisor's packet. One of them is that they've looked at the invitation. One is that they've looked at the textbook adoption webpage on the process. One is that they look at one of the general statute specifically. And then the 4th thing is they review their standards. And then there's other things that we want them to see because it's general information. So looking between the have-tos and what we want them to view. So we want them to view everything. We've made that clear in the beginning. And so at each section, it may be an assignment, the slide, and basically they're just going to submit. The submission is a text box, and they're just typing their name. But for the media release form, you'll see that the first one is as an assignment, and there's the PDFs of what the actual form looks like in English and in Spanish. And this is a submission, so if they're in it as the student, they would click the blue submission button, and it'll say for them to sign to indicate that what says, please acknowledge that you have read and agreed to have your image on this course. And then by signing in the box, they're agreeing to that by typing their name. The second media release form 2, you'll see that's the have to version. And it's a quiz. And this was, I thought, used effectively in one of the beginning of all of my NCAP courses, or actually any course that I've taken that's for credit. And that is, it's a quiz, and the first question of the quiz says that specifically it says the 2 parts of the media release form that they're agreeing to, that their image can be used and that they're 18 or over, I think. And then the first question is to type their name. And then the second question is to type the email that they used Canvas course. Because the combination of the 2 is supposed to be like a digital electronic signature, if that makes sense. And so if you guys want to take a minute to look between the 2, you can't see it from the student view from the first one, but if you go to the second one, you can preview it. So if you go to the media release 2 and you hit that little preview button, it'll show you what that looks like. And so the one that's a quiz, that's the one I'm leaning towards using for the have to do's, like the forms. And then there's certain parts you'll see in the other modules where they indicate that they've read the 2020 invitation. It'll be uploaded. It's in the slide before. Following the slide is a quiz where they indicate that they have looked at it. And then in each module, there's some sort of discussion box just in case there's any questions or clarification so we can give feedback. So what are your input? What are your feelings on the using more of the formal quiz type where they type their name and then they're typing in their email address? We actually had to do that to get into the WebEx. What we just did, we had to put in our name and the email.
Right. This Commissioner Seiss, I like it. However, what is to stop them? And I guess this really probably isn't our problem, but what's to stop them from not reading the media release at all and just clicking on the quiz and filling it out?
There's nothing.
Okay. Is that just something like, we gave it to them?
Yeah.
They're kind of on their own.
And that's the difference if you see the question one says, type your full name in the box below to indicate that you agree to the following statements. And those are the 2 statements that are in the form. You check between the 2 or you check the no, I don't get permission. So if they don't get permission, they're not going to type their name in here. Now, what And they still have to bring the form, possibly a hard copy. We're
Okay.
into that. They possibly still have to bring a hard copy to the evaluation site. Now, do they have to agree to it? No.
No, okay.
And so if they don't agree to it, then they just can't put any pictures, and we can't
Okay.
use their words.
Okay. That's what I was just making sure.
Right. And so should I put another question that says I don't give permission?
Probably yes, because it only gives them one option.
Right.
So my question is if they don't do the quiz, so let's say they don't answer question number 1 because they don't agree, can they still move on?
I haven't set the parameters up for this because I put it in after I made the parameters, but no, they would have to, they need to let us know that they've acknowledged it. That's why the first way, they're just saying that they saw it.
Okay.
And then I think in the directions for the discussion, which is after this, it needs to be if you didn't provide consent, then don't put a picture up.
Okay.
I gotta need to clarify that because when I made that discussion, the kind of introduce yourself thing, that was before I remembered about or realized about the consent form. So I definitely have nothing else. I mean, because this is a complete or incomplete. Because it's an essay box. There's no quite wrong or right answer.
Mhm.
And they either complete it, which is they do it, or they don't do it. Like that's how it reads on our end. If you look under assignments under grades, it'll be completed or not completed. If they answer the question, I guess, and we go back later, because you would use in an essay question, you would use a rubric, or you would put in a score.
Right.
But I probably need to come in after question 1, but before question 2.
And say no.
Yeah.
Do a no response. Yeah.
And then so it's the 1 is they're answering yes or no. The 2. The other thing I could do is I could make the question instead of I could make the question being just type in your name, and I could make another question with a multiple choice, and they're choosing that they give permission or they don't give permission.
Yeah, I would do that.
That may work better, you think?
Yeah, just split question number 1 up into 2 separate questions. Like you said, full name, and then question number 2 would then be, I give my permission or I do not give my permission.
So make the question instead of an essay, I'll make it multiple
A
choice.
checkbox, yeah.
Because then, sorry, Commissioner Jimenez, because then when you set up the parameters for it, as long as they submit the question, they can move on. It doesn't matter how they submit the question, just that they did submit the question.
And you may need to help me with that because I mean, like I know it wants you to put in, if you make it a multiple choice, it wants you to put in the correct answer because it wants to grade it.
I think if you put it in as a survey, you can do an ungraded survey and it doesn't matter how they respond.
All right. I haven't tried that before. All right. Good feedback. I'll work on that. So I think the first one, the first NCDPI media release form, like I'm going to delete that, and this is going to be the one with changes. And then once they complete this, then it'll take them to the next one, which is where they actually do I got to go back to the modules, where they actually introduce themselves in the discussion thing. And let me edit that. Hold on a second, I'm going to edit that right now where it says upload a picture of yourself, and then parentheses, should I put if you give consent? Or just make a statement, if you don't give consent, you don't have to include a picture?
Yeah, just include a statement. Sorry, Commissioner Jimenez. Yes, just include a statement.
I'm typing, sorry. So I don't forget where I'm going to put it. I'll go back and change the wordings, but I'm just putting something there so that making sure that it flows. You guys should be able to see it now. I just saved it. I just made a statement. I may go back and reword it a little bit. I just said, if you do not agree to the following, if you do not agree to allowing the use of your picture on the NCDPI media consent form, do not add a picture of yourself. Probably say you do not need that. No, if they don't agree, they can't. We don't want them to put a picture on it. Their picture on it. They either agree that we use their image or we don't get their image, kind of thing. Okay, so then that gets us to, if everybody's okay with this, I'm going to go ahead and unpublish this module so that if y'all decide to hop in as a student view, it won't impede your flow. Well, it says I can't unpublish the media release form because there may be a response. Let me give it a chance at maybe trying to think because I was in it under the view part. So what is the textbook adoption process? Basically, the first thing is, and you'll kind of see the format. The first beginning will be an assignment or a page with the information. The second is, again, where I have them acknowledge that they did the assignment, because this is one of the 4 things that they go to the textbook adoption page. And look at the process. And so I just made a page that's got a link to the home page. And then I have links to the specific 2 parts of the home page that really need their attention. They need to review the textbook adoption process section, and they need to review the textbook laws and policies in general, which we have some of those also, a few of those in later on. But this is the place where we're saying you need to go and look at the page. And then you need to acknowledge that you have looked at the page. If that makes sense. And so the first is, it's an assignment because I can change it, like we talked about. Like I can change it where they just sign their name as a submission, as a non-graded, either they submitted or they didn't. Or the next part, the next slide has just the quiz, where in this case they are just gonna say yes, this is what we did before. This is to say that you've read it, put your name and put your email. Because this is one of the required things that they look at. Any questions about that? And then the last part is just a place for, it says feedback on textbook adoption processes. Do you have any questions about the textbook adoption process? It's just a discussion. It's not going to be required because if they don't have any questions, there's no point in making them do it. So when I go do the flow, I'm not going to make this a part of the mark is done. It's going to be, they either do it or they don't as they go through the process. Trying to give them a place to give feedback, but but with narrowing it down to the area that they might have that question. And then we did have some conversation in the past about, being wary that we're monitoring it and the possibility of using a specific email that the textbook advisors will have to communicate with DPI, specifically Dr. Fair, and if there's an administrative assistant. Any questions so that they'll get an alert that says someone's put something in that. And if we only leave the window open until that training period and then close the window for the assignments, then there won't be any part in, we won't have to go back and check it, if that makes sense. So those are some ways around the somebody putting a question in and that we know to get back to them with that question. So that's that first one. My computer's been a little bit slow. Any questions on the first one while I'm waiting for my computer to load? So you guys, you feel like it's okay on the requirements? The 4 areas that are required that we do where they sign their name and they put the email, and then anything that's just general information, that it's either a slide they view and we do mark as done, or it's just a general little thing where they type their name indicating that they've read the, viewed the slide or gone to the, mostly it's gone to the web page. Mostly the sign is to say you've gone to the web page. Because to view the slide, if it's information on the slide, when they mark that as done, then that's to indicate that they've looked at it. So they have to go to that page before they can go to the next page.
Commissioner Seiss, I like that they have to sign their name that they've read it.
Commissioner Jimenez, I agree. I think it works well, flows well.
Commissioner Flowers, I agree.
I don't know if it's my computer or Canvas, but I'm still waiting it to load to go to the next thing. Is anyone else having technical difficulties, or is it just my internet?
Mine's working.
I'm gonna log back in. Okay, now I got it. So then the next thing, what is the textbook commission? Again, there's the same sort of thing. I made the one thing that was the movie. I took it out and just put the slides in, like we talked about that last time. So again, you'll see if you're in the student view and you're looking at the slide that's the what is the textbook commission. It was a PNG that I uploaded onto the page. But I'm going to need to redo that because on the student view, you can't really read it. And I want it to be like the whole screen. But that was one of the 4 slides that made up the movie. And so is the next page, which is what is a textbook. That was one of the slides that was in the movie. And then the third one is where the policy is. And so it says, click here to learn more information about the textbook commission. And if you click on it, plus the slide before the slide that it's on, it happens to be hyperlinked. So if they click on that slide, it'll open it up. And then this is just a flat out assignment. So it says, click on this link to learn more about it. Indicate that you have reviewed the SBE policy by typing your name into the text box. And that is an assignment. So on the student view, it looks like an assignment with the submission button up in the right-hand corner. Again, we'll need that's basically why we need to do that video, so they'll know it doesn't pop up if you don't click that submission button. Because when you click that, then it opens up the text box and they type their name in.
Commissioner Seiss, I like that because then it guarantees they're at least opening it. Like we can't force them to read it.
Right.
But if it's open, then there's more of a chance that they're actually going to glance over it.
And I really feel like for the most places, we wouldn't have a problem with people not, or you would hope that,
You would hope.
they're being professional. We've given them, and then it ends with just a discussion box of any questions about the textbook commission.
Commissioner Flowers, you could just add the words indicate by clicking on the submit assignment button and in the text box. But surely they probably know to do that by now.
They would by now, because they would have had to have done it. No, they wouldn't have done it before this one, because the one, if I make the consent form the quiz, that's different. The quiz pops up like a quiz.
I'm just saying in Canvas in general.
Yeah, I just feel like
You
there's
could
a lot of people
add-
who don't know a lot about Canvas from a student view. They're used to the assignments and how to do it, but they've never been a student and they don't know that part of it. Because not everyone in the state uses Canvas as their learning management system. But I do think I like that idea to add in it, even though they've got the video at the front to say, click the submit button. I had to learn that for myself in the Canvas course. I didn't know that until I took the Canvas course at NCAP. So I'm making a note to go back and add that. Okay. And so that follows up that module with just an opportunity for them to ask any questions or get any clarification. And then the advisor really didn't change. It's the advisor's slides are the same, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last thing is, this may be a repeat of the first one. This is a quiz. Because that SBE policy text 2002, they have to, it's on their checklist of things they have to do. So those original slides, I don't think changed. Let me make sure. No, those didn't change. That's just general information about an advisor, and then it takes them to the that one slide's hyperlinked, and even if they don't click on the hyperlink slide, it's right here in the quiz. Like I put the link in the quiz. And then there's a place. Now I did add a second question on this one. The first is, what questions do you have about advisors? And then also, do you need any additional information about your qualifications / common role or responsibilities? And then the next part is the flyer, which we still need to work on updating, but that's just a placeholder for those. I haven't written down, I just haven't gone in to change it on the Canva course, the Canva thing where I have the template. And the next section I added, the next module I added, trying to go through the requirements that they need to do. And so what do I need to know before evaluation week were the things that the other things that they had to do on their checklist in their packet. And one is they need to review the invitation. And so the first slide is, you can't see it full. Again, that's what I'm going to have to do. But basically, I just did a quick little, what is the invitation to submit? Just an information page. And then the second is a link to the actual PDF document. And I want to upload the PDF document because I want them to be able to download it on their computer from the Canvas course if they need to. So that might come later. In all actuality, if they click on that link, it takes them to the PDF on the website. And again, this is in 2 different ways, because this is before I wasn't sure if we were just going to have them sign or we're going to have them sign and make it, more of a quiz. Because this is a requirement, I'm probably going to go to the next one, which is the acknowledgement of the assignment. So basically, there's just saying, provide the following information to indicate that you have read the 2020 invitation to submit. And the quiz is, one, you put your name. The second question is you put your email. And then I also linked again in case they don't want to go back to the previous slide. Had they not looked at it before they got to this point, they can look at it from this point. And then there's any feedback for specifically that invitation, if they have any questions about the invitation. And then the next thing is their standards course review, because they're also, one of the 4 things they're told to do is to look at their standards ahead of time and to bookmark or print a hard copy to bring to the evaluation site. And so I made it all in one slide. I mean, we have the modules that'll be later when this is deactivated, when the first part's deactivated after the initial training. Where I'll also link the standards or the site for the standards. So depending on what they're hired to evaluate, it's just saying you will need to review the core standards for the areas that you're evaluating, bookmark or print a hard copy, I should say, to bring to the evaluation site. And then if you, Math 912, they gave us the actual links to the standards because the discrete math, the NC Math 4, and the pre-calculus are in a different place than the Math 1, Math 2, and Math 3. And so that is actually hyperlinked in the invitation also, but I just copied and pasted and hyperlinked it in here. The CTE standards are all housed on a server at NC State. And so if they click the word here, it'll take them to that site. And from there, they can locate their standards. And so that's just telling them that they need to review them. And then the next is going to be the quiz, which basically they're acknowledging the assignment. They're saying, provide the information to indicate that you reviewed the standards for the courses that you can be asked to evaluate. I'm not going to say that you are going to act. Sometimes we get there and we ask them to do something in addition to what we originally thought if we need different eyes in a different area. So I was trying to be cognizant of that possibility. Again, that's a quiz. The first question is they type their name. The second question is they put in their email. And I think that is followed up with that's it. That's all I have for that one. I didn't know if I should. I mean, I don't know that I should do a feedback on their course. Or the only thing on this module that they might have feedback on would be something in the invitation. I would hope they know their standards and they're not asking us a question about the standards. And so that's the required part. And those, first 6 modules, actually you go with the flow and in the order of the goals. The first 2 goals, the third goal of it being a place to house resources, that's going to be the next 3 modules, which are empty now, because that's going to be where we use that evaluation week. That's where we can link a link to the standards, possibly a link to a sample of the criteria sheets, not the digital, how they're doing it on the platform, but the actual one that's in the invitation. Which is going to be a copy. I have the PDF. I'm just going to save it in chunks and just do the examples of the criteria sheet from the invitation and just put it in that section. That's also where we said we would put any information pertaining to evaluation week, to like room rules, any kind of information we want to give them, their workflow, the spreadsheet that's made up for that room that shows the order that they're doing their work in, things like that nature. And so those are not going to be published until after the training point has ended. And then what will happen is the first part will be unpublished and the last 3 will be published. And so, as we've said in the past, I think probably everyone, this is a continual kind of work in progress. It goes through phases. Are there any other questions? Anything I need to clarify? Add? No. The only thing I know that I need to add, but it hit me again as I was going through the checklists and stuff, is I need to add, under the evaluation week, like before evaluation week, I need to add something about the blackout period. Because that starts, they need to know that ahead of time. And something about the conflict, that there's not that the advisors don't have a conflict. Because those are two things that they're asked about. They're really asked about before they commit to being an advisor, but it needs to be housed somewhere. Do you think there's a better place to do that other than before evaluation week? Should we put that under an advisor? Like, since that's specifically advisor, should we put conflict of interest? The thing about piloting a program.
Commissioner Linker, this is Carmela.
Yes, ma'am.
So in their interest form application, there is a place for them to indicate anything about if they piloted. Is that what you're talking about right now? If they piloted materials. And then also one of the forms that they have to submit would indicate that the conflict of interest form would indicate that.
We do that before we actually select them, correct?
No, I think that that all of those things are done well, it may be, because I think when we do the training for them, they receive an email that has the forms and things like that. So yeah, that's done before the training, the selection.
Okay. So would you put that in here, or would you say that would come before they would have access to this course? Because I'm trying to remember, I can't remember if that was something that, I feel like that was in that form that they filled out that we had to look at the potential candidates from.
Right, that's what I was saying, is in the interest form application that they fill out. So it's already there, because we have to make sure that anybody you select is not going to have a conflict with that. Yeah. So it
wouldn't need to add that. So we wouldn't need to add that to this module, because this access to this Canvas course comes after they've met all those requirements.
Right, unless you just want to mention it somewhere in the overall requirements, just as a reminder, but you wouldn't have to have them to sign off on it or anything.
And just do something maybe about the blackout period and communication with published. I mean, that's in the invitation, and we've asked them to review the invitation, but I feel like we probably need to make just a slide, kind of like a reminder what the blackout period is. So I'll just put that slide probably under in the advisor section. Maybe make it advisor 5 and just say, just a little more clarification on the blackout period, just to make sure that they notice that. There's a lot of stuff in the 2020 invitation, and not all of it pertains to advisors, and I'm not sure that they wouldn't overlook some things that we think are really important that they notice.
This is Carmela again. That was the original intent of the advisor's packet, because the advisor's packet was the way to pull out the information that was extremely important to them. And we in the past just asked them, to review the invitation just to have a knowledge that it existed. But that was a way of not inundating them with the full document, because that document is really the invitation letter for publishers to get all the information they need to submit, as well as for commissioners to understand the process and what publishers will do and what they will do. So that was the whole purpose of the packet, was to pull information that they really, 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 really needed to focus on, so that they would know, what they had to do, what the expectations were, and all of that.
Try to refer back to the last cycle's advisor packet, and I don't think I think that's one thing I left out. So would you, because I'm trying to put everything in the advisor's packet to make sure somehow it's addressed in the first couple modules. So Dr. Fair, should I add that just so that it's covered in both places?
This is Carmela. Should you add?
Just something about the blackout or just in general?
Yeah, you may have like a page that you have like
Page.
kind of like in the packet where it's like, here are the important reminders, and then just have like a bullet list of important reminders, and maybe that would be included there.
Okay. That helps. Yeah, but I was trying to go between, I was trying to use that as my guide, the advisor's packet, to make sure that I don't have the specific stuff, which will need to be added, like the accommodations and the covered expenses and the travel reimbursement, like the logistical information. I know that when I was looking over it last night one more time over my checklist, and then also add the part that you said that you have very well laid out of what they need to bring, specifically they need to bring. I thought I would put that also on the slide. And put that under before you come to evaluation week, like put that part in that section. So I can work on that. Any other suggestions? So at this point, I think I'd asked Dr. Fair about the possibility of doing just for input. We've done the peer review form for, and for other commissioners to give us any input, and so this would be the next thing that we would send out. But rather than us checking, as I'm making the little fine tunes and adding some of these, rather than calling a meeting in a week or two, if we just do it ourselves. And Dr. Fair, since the same peer review form she would send out to the other commissioners to give us a take, to send it to the subcommittee once I let her know that I've got some things that I want you guys to give me some feedback on, so then we don't have to like meet just to hash through what needs to be, that I changed this slide and, I added this slide. And so that way I'm kind of getting input as I'm adding a few things and tweaking like the slides and stuff. If that's okay with everybody else, and then we would just like make sure you fill it in before we meet next time. I might ask her to give us like a date, like if I'm finished adding stuff and I want a pair of eyes on it in a week, that you fill it by the middle of the next week, so then I can go back and get a feel for it. As basically it's still just working on the creation, but as a commission we'll need to come back again when we get the peer reviews and all, and look and see, okay, now this is our final product. So given there's a couple of steps to happen, and I really don't want it to be too, we've acknowledged that there's going to be things added anyway, but I want the first 6 modules, the pre-evaluation week stuff kind of hammered out. And I don't know about school starting or not starting and schedules, and I know all that's coming out, and July 1st is going to give us a lot more information. I do know that we push, I don't think I start now until the first week in August. They changed our schedule just a little bit, or they're proposing to change our schedule just a little bit in my district. So do you want to meet back as a commission in 3 weeks? If everybody's kind of like giving feedback on that form and looking at it as we're going through it, so then it should be pretty much just a quick meeting to say, this is it, and we're ready to roll it out. Because at that point we would need to look at making a meeting date for the entire commission so that we can roll it out. Is 3 weeks too far? I don't want to get too much into vacations. I don't know if anybody's going on vacation.
Katie, where does 3 weeks put us? Sorry, it's Commissioner Seiss.
So 3 weeks from today puts us
July 2nd.
2nd.
That's fine by me. I don't have any issues with it.
Commissioner Menace, same here. I don't have any issues.
Flowers, I'm okay.
So Dr. Fair, if you can send out another doodle poll to get us a time. I know we're missing one commission member on the meeting, just to make sure we have his input as well, for July the 2nd. And in the meantime, you guys will get an email with the peer review form that you can add things to, and that I'll kind of reflect to as I'm just kind of tweaking it. And Commissioner Flowers and I kind of add a couple other things. And that gives Commissioners Jimenez and Slice a chance to like take suggestions or make any tweaks based on the feedback that we get from their form as well. And I think in 2 weeks, I'm going to have it pushed out to the peer review, for peer review, the advisor. So then when we meet back in 3 weeks, we'll have peer reviews, the subcommittee's input, and it should be pretty much in its final state for those first 6 modules. Does that sound doable?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to make those changes to the timeline. And that would be our next steps. If no one else has any other questions, we can take a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Jimenez, I make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Jimenez made a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Commissioner Seiss, I second.
Commissioners, I second. Dr. Fair, if you can go through the roll call for a vote.
Sure. Commissioner Angela Flowers,
Commissioner Flowers, aye.
Commissioner Hannah Jimenez,
Commissioner Jimenez, aye.
Commissioner Kathleen Linker,
Commissioner Kathleen Linker, aye.
and Commissioner Lindsay Sice.
Commissioner Lindsay Seiss, aye.
Okay, and so that makes it, we will get a doodle poll. The next meeting will be at a time to be determined on July the 2nd. And look forward to talking with everyone then. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, bye, ladies.
All right, bye.
Bye.